welcome to Penguins Wanderlust. I have as my guest today Lorraine Moore, also known as Spirit, and we are currently enjoying freezer burn in Ponoka, Alberta.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, I'm glad you came.
Yeah, great to see you.
And do you still have your penguin?
I still have my
Oh, so Penny's going to help Lorraine get used to our format here. And I have some questions. I met Lorraine here at the festival, and she sounded quite interesting, so I thought I'd interview her for our self-discovery section. And I thought that a good topic that we could discuss is success.
Okay. Sounds
And
good.
Lorraine has written 2 books. Her first book is currently out and available. What's it called?
It is called Feet to the Fire, and the subtitle is How to Create the Accountability That Creates and Embodies Great Organizations. So Feet to the Fire, you can find it on Amazon or, yeah.
And I will put a link in the comment field for the video so
Thank
that
you.
you can find it easily and find her website as well. And what is it about?
The first book is about how to create a culture of accountability in organizations. I work with CEOs and executive teams of mid-sized companies, and as well executives of Fortune 500 companies, and many leaders struggle with how to create a culture of accountability without it feeling like micromanaging and without it being time consuming. And what I maintain is that it takes less time, and it's better for the leader and it's better for the employees.
So do you find that some companies have kind of a scapegoat that they have when something goes wrong?
No, not too often. In fact, what I find more is that leaders don't take action quickly enough when people are underperforming. And so the other staff, the other employees see that and wonder, why is this leader doing nothing about that? And it's often because the leader's not sure, have I correctly set expectations? Am I being reasonable in my expectations? And oftentimes because they like the individual, and it can be a tough decision to figure out how to hold them to more account, how to manage that underperformance.
So what are some of the strategies that you suggest to them in that case?
Well, first of all, recognizing that it's your role and your responsibility as a leader to deal with underperformance. When I was a corporate executive, I used to tell my direct reports that if you don't want to deal with poor performance, then step out of the chair. Because when you're in that chair, that's your responsibility. So one of the strategies, obviously, is to be very clear in speaking with the underperformer or underperformers, and identifying specifically with data and evidence what the gaps are. But first, you need to set expectations up front and make sure that people understand them.
That sounds good. Did you work in the world of corporate acquisitions and takeovers before you became a consultant?
I was involved with TD and Canada Trust merger. I was with Canada Trust, and that was, TD is the 19th largest bank in the world. So that was really fascinating as well when Canada Trust bought Bank North in the US, the northeastern US. I was involved in that. And then I also helped with some divestitures.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the lessons you learned while putting together this first book?
I learned that to be a writer, it really helps to have a community of other writers. I learned that it is like writing is like exercising any other muscle. It can be, people talk about writer's block, and I think it's no different than getting out of your exercise routine and then it becoming a lot more difficult to go back and work out. You need to write. I found I needed to write regularly, even if it was journaling and writing on a regular basis, and having other writers to interact with. And none of them were in the same city as me, so it doesn't need to be a face-to-face meeting, but having a support group, having a mentor who's written a book or 2 is really helpful.
Oh, which group did you find? Did you find it on Facebook?
No, I'm part of I have a number of colleagues across the globe who, like me, consult to organizations or run their own consulting firms. And so we interact fairly regularly. So smaller groups within that large group who had published books, that's who I interacted with. Yeah.
So you don't feel like there's a competition in the
No.
field?
No,
Enough for everybody?
There's enough for everybody. Yeah, we each have our own unique things that we can share and strategies that we can help to help organizations or leaders be more successful. So in fact, there's room for all of us.
Did you come up with the outline structure first?
I did. I created a book proposal and a chapter, first one chapter, and I sent that to some agents, and then I also sent it directly to publishers. So it was picked up by a publisher in the U.S. called Business Expert Press out of Chicago, and having that structure helped, because then when they said, okay, great. In fact, when I gave them my proposal, they said, you have two books here. Would you write 2 books for us? So I signed a contract for 2 books. But having the structure helped, because they'd say, okay, I just look at my structure and think, what do I feel like writing about today, based on the topics I already had, and I would just start writing about what I felt compelled to write about. Yeah.
So did you try and set a number of pages per day, or an amount of time each day?
Yeah.
Or did you just try and finish one topic per day?
Yeah, I didn't do it daily. Some people do. I blocked time in my calendar twice a week during the work week. And I didn't always honor that. If I had a client call or a client meeting or something that was important, I set aside the writing time. But I did, it was always in my calendar, so I knew if I didn't spend that time that I had, defaulted on that. But I also find that sometimes it flows easily, and I'm in the mood to write. So if I have times like that, I'll sit down and write something. I try to write for at least 30 minutes. So if I am going to write, I'll set a timer, and when I'm 10 minutes in thinking, oh my gosh, as it sometimes happens, this is really hard, I don't know what to talk about today, I'm like, just go back to it. And always, within the 30 minutes, you end up writing some good information. But it's the hardest part is getting yourself in the chair to write.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The writing flows.
I find the busyness of life can keep you from settling down and just having a quiet time to write.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Was it difficult approaching the first few CEOs to ask for interviews for your second book?
So my second book is called The 360-Degree CEO, and it is all about CEOs and leaders who've made courageous decisions and who do not compromise their values and still demonstrate that you can generate profits, you can meet shareholder expectations, and still be doing the right thing. And I felt that we've lost a lot of our heroes and heroines. And I see, there's lots of conversation about millennials, and frankly, I'm tired of the topic because I think we've completely overused that. But those who are going to be our future leaders and who are early leaders need role models.
Yeah.
And they need, and as well, CEOs need validation. I chair a couple of CEO peer groups. I talk to CEOs a lot, and it's surprising. Well, it's not surprising anymore, but from the outside in, you think they're not going to have any self-doubt. They're incredibly successful, but in fact, they have self-doubt like everyone else. So that's part of why I wanted to write the book, to share from from CEOs. And I was somewhat apprehensive, I think, about approaching the first one, but I started with a CEO that I thought would like to participate. It was he is, or was, a former CEO of a law firm and a non-lawyer. So he had been the CEO of the law firm for 12 or 14 years, and he's an accountant. So I knew it had been incredibly rewarding, but also particularly challenging for him, and I thought he'd like to share his story. And because he was no longer with the law firm, he could do so with more freedom. And that's Jeff Pulford in London, so London, Ontario. So I'm very, very grateful. He gave me the first interview. And people were very generous in making recommendations, and the CEOs, many of whom run some of Canada and the U.S. largest companies, were very, very giving with their time, very transparent, and so you'll have to read the book. There's some really great information in there. Yeah,
And do you have a website as well?
I do, yes.
And
Yeah.
what topics do you cover there?
I cover a variety of topics because my clients and those who like to follow my blog and read my newsletters are quite varied. As I said, they're everything from executives in Fortune 500 companies to CEOs and board directors of mid-sized companies to mid-level management in large organizations and individual consultants and entrepreneurs. So I write a variety of things. I write about business, I write about life, I write about strategies for being a better leader, I write about having gratitude, I write about finding focus in your work, I write about how you measure success. So yeah, I write about a wide variety of things.
Cool. Do you have plans for a third book?
I do. I think it's addictive once you start writing. At least that's been my experience. I'm not sure yet what it will be. Things kind of flit through my head, so I'm not certain what it'll be
Do you think
yet.
it'll also be on business?
I think it may be more on life.
Cool.
I love your topic with your interviews of self-discovery. So yeah, I think it will be. I mean, work is a big part of our lives. Yeah, so I think it's going to be something about people, I'm not sure, in transition, making successful transitions, because I see so many people hold back, afraid to take that leap, afraid they'll fail. I attended a workshop here this week called Overcoming Fear, and there were a couple of people in the workshop who I would say would be close in age to me, but one a male and one a female, both successful in what they were doing, and both saying, "Oh, I want to go and do something else." I know
It can be hard to change.
Yeah, and I said to each of them, "Okay, when I see you here next year, I want to hear that you've made that change," because I see people handcuffed, and the handcuffs are often of our own making.
Yeah,
So
self-induced.
yeah.
It was like 3 years ago when I stopped being a business analyst and I decided to be a travel writer. I would call myself I want to be
Right.
instead of saying I am
I
a
am.
writer, and now I find it much easier to say I am a writer and find that people actually believe me, and since other people believe me, I'm starting to believe in myself.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
But it can be quite difficult to go from the 9 to 5 working for somebody else to getting out of your comfort zone and trusting your own path.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes the transition for people isn't even from working for someone else to working for themselves. It's from working for someone else to working for someone else again, but at something that is a better environment for them, or is in a
Right.
place they really want to be living, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
And the final question I have is, what is the most exciting thing that you've experienced?
Yeah, I saw that question.
Thought I had to throw one in there to stump
Yeah, you did stump me. I mean, my initial reaction was, I've yet to experience it, I think. I have a fabulous family. That brings me a great deal of joy. And my husband Peter, like me, has natural curiosity about the world and loves to travel and explore things with me. So we've had, our family's been an incredible experience. India, Turkey, Egypt, so Galapagos, Machu Picchu, climbing Kilimanjaro. So going out and
You've already
starting
done
my
all
own
those?
business. I've done all those, yeah.
and started your own business.
Yeah, and started my own business. So,
So your life is kind of just exciting all around.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is.
that's
So
good.
I look forward to the future experiences.
Yeah. Do you have a future destination you're going to travel
Well,
to?
we're going to Iceland in September.
That'll be nice, to see the northern lights.
Yes, hope so. I have a group of work colleagues from across the U.S. and we meet a few times a year, and we meet in different locations. So we're meeting in Iceland in September.
Well,
So
hopefully you'll get out of the boardroom. And
yeah, we will. We always get out for great wine, great food, and we have some days tacked on at the beginning and at the end to explore Iceland. So yeah, so that's the next exciting one.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Lorraine, for coming, and we'll put her contact information up so that you can follow her life path as well. So
Thanks,
thank you.
Carolyn.
Bye.
Bye from Freezer Burn.
Come on. Bye. Come on. Oh, bye. Enthusiasm.
Bye.